Hey, what's up, everybody? It is your girl JoJo, and I'm here with the review for Ready to Love Season 7, Episode 9. Y'all, I am on like my 20th hour of being awake. So if I get loopy in this video and I start talking crazy, that is the reason why. I'm sleep deprived. I work nights now, and instead of going to sleep this morning, I wanted to stay up because I wanted to get some stuff done, and I'm off tomorrow, but I think that was a mistake. I should have took my behind to sleep. So anyway, let's get to talking about Ready to Love. Now, a couple of things I want to say. Nephew Tyler Perry calling Blake 9 lives. I was over here getting my life. I don't often find Nephew Tyler Perry funny, but he was funny at that moment in time. Now, the men are in a position of power. The men are going to be introducing the women to their best friends. So we know how this goes, right? Now, I don't know if y'all remember. I'm gonna have to go back and look at my old reviews, but it seems like Ready to Love alternates. Like, okay, so you know how just now the women introduced the fellas to their exes? It seemed like the season before the men introduced the women to their exes, and then the women introduced the men to their best friends. It almost seems like they alternate. Because we're on episode 9, so I don't think they're going to. I don't know how many episodes this show is going to do this season. They usually do like between 10 and 12. So I doubt we're going to have like the ladies meeting their exes later on. I feel like they alternate how they do it per season. All I know is if Ready to Love knows what's good for them, they'll stop all this ex business. They'll stop it. All right, we saw what happened with Cynthia and her ex last week, which it doesn't happen often with the ladies where the exes just go crazy on you. But I'm going to tell you what, every time them ex-girlfriends come on the show, it's always one. There's always one where you can tell that if they not still having sex, they just had sex recently. We all remember that episode where one of them just outright admitted it. She was like, yeah, we just slept together a couple months ago. He was trying to get his sister wives on, and he was like a guy that you would never expect to be having that kind of foolery going on. But anyway, can't put nothing past nobody. So let's see how these dates go with them meeting not the exes, the best friends. All right, y'all. I hope I can remember everything that happened on these dates. So, first of all, Pratt, what is going on? You have lost your namesake on this episode. Why do I call you Pratt? Because you got a ponytail, you got a braid, and you also got a plait. Today, you were just giving me the tendril. You were just giving me a little bit of the little plait in the front, and I didn't appreciate that. But I'll take the tendril. You know, maybe you doing something different, okay? New year, new you. So, Cynthia and Jeffrey are coming over. They're going to meet his friend Jermaine. Jermaine has been around for many, many relationships, and Jermaine starts right in with the ladies. After the pleasantries, they start in on the questions. So Jermaine asks them, he's walked with Andre through a lot of relationships. Some of the women have had children, and Andre is very family oriented. So I need to know where you guys are with your children. What is your connection with your family? Because when he has to lose his connection with these kids, because the children really love him and he really loves the kids, it's often very sad when he has to disconnect from them. Okay, so Jeffrey says that as far as she goes, she's been a single mom for a long time, and as far as her family orientation goes, she is extremely family oriented. She puts her children first. And she can definitely see Andre fitting into their lives and being the lead in their lives as well for her and her children. Cynthia says that she is extremely family oriented as well. She understands that Andre does not have any children of his own. And not only is she bringing the family oriented dynamic to him, but she also will be bringing 2 more children and a dog if he would like to have that. But that's it. Okay, that's all she could do. I said, baby, you doing way more than me, because you can't even get one out of me, and you might get a goldfish, if that. Don't bring no dog in my house. I'm not playing with you. But nice, very nice. Next question, he asked them, what is the common foundation that you can bring with a guy like Andre? I said, Or he didn't word it exactly how I worded it, but I was thinking to myself, like, Jermaine, you not slick, okay? Just because you got them glasses on don't mean you're smart. I know you're asking them, what do they bring to the table? I know what do you bring to the table when I hear it? I had to rewind it. I was like, common foundation. Is he asking what they bring to the table? Yes. So Jeffrey says that she's a woman of God first. Hey, and that when it comes to her, it's all about the spiritual. Okay, it's all about the spiritual. And she feels like what happened with Andre was so different than what she's used to because they connected internally first, because she's all about God. Hey, she's all about God first. Then Cynthia says what she's bringing and what she can bring for the common foundation. What she's bringing is the fact that she is bringing love. First of all, she's bringing love. She says she's bringing support. And she's also very protective. She also says it's very important for men. A lot of times they can't be vulnerable. They don't have that space where they can be vulnerable with people. And she really wants to have that with the person that she's with, that space to be vulnerable, that space to create that intimacy. And of course, she's bringing that love, support, and protection, as I just mentioned earlier. Jermaine was very impressed by the answer, to the point where he wanted to lay back on the couch. I said, Jermaine, are you married? Do you want her for yourself? Because I'm starting to get the feeling that Andre don't want Cynthia, but I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So then the last question, I think, was about their other connections. And both Jeffrey and Cynthia say that they can't compare the two. They're both very different. But what Cynthia can say is they're both protective. They both want to provide. I know that both of them know what they want, and I would feel safe dealing with them because they're sure about what they want. So that was good. Other than that, the men do not really compare to one another. So when the ladies leave, Jermaine is talking to Pratt, and he's talking about how he, loved that Jeffrey put God first, but he also loves the way that Cynthia answered the second question. And Andre was like, the way that she answered the second question was concerning for him. Did he say something about her being, I'm going to have to go back and watch it. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I don't know why he said something about her coming at the question aggressively, but I'm about to go back and look at it. But he didn't really like the way she came at the question. He felt like the answers were on the tip of her tongue. And if they're on the tip of your tongue like that, that could be an issue, because maybe Jermaine looked confused. And in the end, he still chose Cynthia as the best fit for him. I would probably agree if I were talking to both of them. Now, granted, Cynthia, she does come off as one who practices all her answers in the mirror, but I believe that is because Cynthia is very sure of what she wants. She could not have predicted exactly what Jermaine was going to ask her, but I believe she's a woman that's very sure of herself and very sure about what she wants. I've already told y'all when it comes to Jeffrey, it's not that I dislike Jeffrey. I just think there's something more going on with Jeffrey than what we are able to see. And I don't know, like, I feel like they definitely are captivated by the fact that she's cute and her shape and, her little baby, that very like come rescue me type of feel. I don't know, but there's just something else there to me. And I can't really explain it. I get like that sometimes. Like and I don't want y'all to think I'm just deep. I'm not. But sometimes like I can be around a person for a while and it'll be like their mannerisms or how they look at me or the things that they're saying where I start getting this feeling like, I don't really know about you. I haven't been wrong. I can tell you that. I have not been wrong. But Jeffrey, I don't know. I'm not with her in person, but to me, it's just something about her. What did you guys think about this date, though? And what do you think Andre is feeling about Cynthia? Oh, never mind, y'all. Andre probably feeling this way about Cynthia because he got told off by her baby daddy last week, and he ain't trying to deal with that drama in his life. I can't say I blame him. I'm not trying to deal with no messy exes either. And Cynthia, girl, just count it. I wouldn't even count it as a loss because that apartment is very white, and you can't bring your kids up in there. No way. We know how kids do white. Go on over to Anthony's. He got plenty of space. He got a whole home. Okay, for your children to run around in. He could bring his daughter for the weekend. Y'all can have a cookout in the backyard. I think that's your best bet, girl. Cast your lot there. All right, Marc Anthony, Mercedes, and Jeffrey, they go on their date. Now, I did want to say, I watched it back, and Pratt did not say aggressively. He said she answered it assertively. So please excuse me. He did not say that. All right, so Jeffrey, Mercedes, Marc Anthony, and then Marc Anthony is introducing them to his friend. I believe his friend's name was Justin. So when they sit down, they all get to the restaurant, and Justin begins to ask the ladies some questions. He presents them with a scenario. If you guys were upset with each other, you guys had an argument, what happens after? Jeffrey answers with communication is key. They're definitely going to have to talk it out. Mercedes, and the reason why I like Mercedes' answer is because I actually wasn't expecting it, and I thought it was about to go left when she first started talking. But she was basically just like, I'm not going to say I would go to bed mad, and I was like, Mercedes, where are we going with this? But I would have to take some time to myself in my own corner because I don't want to say anything that I might possibly regret. You know, I might have to let cooler heads prevail type of thing. I thought that was a really good answer. And Marc Anthony must be the type that does that because even he was nodding like, yes. And the friend said that was actually pretty good because, you know, he coming on point talking about Marc Anthony. Then he asked them about where they stand. I feel like he asked them another question though before he asked them where they stand with Marc Anthony, like why is he not their only choice? Oh, I know what it was. The flaws, like what kind of flaws they had. Jeffrey says she has a tendency to overthink, and Marc Anthony has to talk to her sometimes about it. And Mercedes says that she has to get out of homie mode when it comes to Marc Anthony and the guys that she dates and kind of show that she does have more of that domestic side to her. I could actually see her being in homie mode, so that does make sense. And then they get into why is he not their number one? Mercedes said for her, that's not true. Marc Anthony absolutely is my number one. I connected with him the moment that we met or the moment we had our first conversation. She saw how real he was, blah, blah, blah. Jeffrey says it's not really a one or two conversation. It's more of just like I'm protecting myself because I know he normally doesn't date women that have children, and I just have to be a little bit more cautious to make sure it's a better fit. Jeffrey is going on in her confessionals about how she has to take her time and make sure this works and make sure this is something he likes. I think that Marc Anthony and Jeffrey probably need to cut their losses if they're going to be talking like this, because we're at episode 9 at this point. Y'all know how aggravated I get when we get to the end and they still talking like they got all this time. You don't have all this time, baby. Okay, y'all can do that on your own time. But Ready to Love time is episode 9. So even after they leave, Marc Anthony is still talking like when the friend asks about Jeffrey, he's still talking like, you know, I'm just trying to see qualities in Jeffrey and Mercedes. I'm trying to see different qualities. He said that at the very beginning of the show. I forgot to mention that he's hoping to see some different qualities in Mercedes or Jeffrey that is going to help him better get to his decision. Marc Anthony, if you don't sit your behind down and do a pros and cons list, ain't nobody going to keep showing you stuff now. You need to make a decision. That is what happens on Ready to Love. You have to decide. And we all know what happens to the people who don't decide. They always end up thin-licked and tricked towards the end. So I want Marc Anthony to go ahead and make a decision. Me personally, I don't think Marc Anthony, if he hasn't been dating women with children, I have a feeling that probably isn't something he's been wanting to do. I don't think he's going to start now, but he might. So we'll have to see. But Justin says that, and I don't think it was shade, but he was like, Mercedes is kind of more of what we're used to, you know, the fluid conversation back and forth. I was like, was Jeffrey not talking fluidly or something? I'm confused by what he was saying, but maybe like her demeanor was just different. But he chooses Mercedes for Marc Anthony. What did you guys think about the date though? All right, so we're going to make this quick. Linden's friend meets Morgan, and basically the answer is no for him. He is not feeling it. He was nice enough. The friend was cute to me, actually. Child, let me stay focused. But the answer is going to be no on Morgan. Linden does tell him that there was a situation with the Nair all right, with the ex-boyfriend prior to Morgan coming in. Now, I believe the version that I watched, because y'all know I gotta watch this bootleg. I think that Morgan, the first minute or so of her date, I believe it got cut off. So by the time when Morgan comes in, it jumps to him asking her about the Nair incident, into which she says that, yes, she did do it. She did it at the end of the relationship when she knew she was done. Okay, it was her grand exit. And she says that she looked it up because she wanted to see if she could go to jail for it. I said, Morgan, this is toxic. And the fact that you would admit it in front of people with no shame, because she don't seem to be shamed about it. She seems to be justified. She says that Linden wouldn't do that to her. Linden's not a liar. And the reason why she did it is because he was exhibiting red flags. Girl, I've had people lie to me and exhibit all kind of red flags. And really, I should have ran up on them and got some of my cousins to do work. But I'm not doing all of that because A, I don't want to go to jail, and B, I'm just not that type of person. Morgan, do you realize that every time that you go to somebody and talk about this story and you do it with no shame, we see that you are that type of person. You are that girl. You are her. Okay, you are them people. You them folk. You the ones we talk about. You are the one that these folk is getting all over TikTok and Instagram and doing these warning stories about. It's you, baby. I don't understand why you don't see that. And then come out her mouth and say, but I'm a good woman. I said, child, if this ain't delusional, I don't know what call it delusional. Call it delusional, y'all. We don't let one slip through the cracks. Call it delusional. So I'm just sitting there looking at Linden like, you obviously just want to be on the show and you don't have any other connections, because there's no way that you think this woman right here is the woman that you need to be dealing with. So whenever the friend says that it seems like when things get tough, she feels like she needs to leave. Morgan doesn't agree with that. Okay. If she see red flags, she pulling out her Nair. Anyway, Morgan gets up to leave and the friend is just like, no, bruh. I mean, you gonna have to weigh it out, but I'm saying no. It don't seem like she is all there to me. And I think you playing a dangerous game by dealing with her. But child, a hard head make a soft ass. And I don't know if Linden's hair is soft or not. Oh my gosh, I'm tired. That didn't even make any sense. But yeah, Linden, boy, you just want to be on this show. Quit playing with me. Okay, so Morgan, Marcy, Tony, they meet up with Tony's good friend. And the friend, I forget his name. I want to say it was Ahmad, but they've been friends for years and years. And the friend asks Morgan and Marcy, you don't have any children. He does have children. So starting over with you guys would kind of be like I think he called it a setback for him, but he would be taking it back. Having children right now. He wanted to know their thoughts on it, and Marcy was just like, it's not that she hasn't wanted to have children. She just wanted to have children with somebody who had her back. Same thing with Morgan. She wanted to make sure she had her kids with the right person, but she is very familiar with children and raising children because she calls herself a momty. So she's familiar with the environment. Then he does ask, what's your 5-year plan? And Marcy says she would definitely like to be married in the next 5 years. Morgan says she has a 2-year plan. Wife me, please. And he was like, wow, what are you doing to make sure that gets done? And she's basically just like, it's definitely going to happen for me as long as I got somebody that's on the right page and not playing games and on the right kind of time. And the whole time she's staring Tony directly in his eyes. Now, I don't think Tony done gave Morgan none yet, but Morgan, I mean, the way she be looking at you like, you better choose me. You better be with me. You better like me. And Marcy is just there, child. Marcy is just there. I'm sure there's parts we missed on the date though. She does ask a friend, Morgan does, how she can get Tony to open up a little bit more. Like, he says he likes her. He says he likes the fact that she is like a strong woman and she doesn't mind saying what she needs to say. But how do I get him to talk more and open up more and be more trusting of me? And to which the friend replies, it's just going to take some time and getting to know each other. So once they leave, the friend is just, again, he likes Morgan because she's very direct. I was just like, child, you ain't hear about this Nair though. Did you hear about the direct Nair that she put on your scalp? And then Marcy answered everything well. So he loved Marcy's answers, but felt like Morgan was definitely about Tony, and she was very direct. So Big Tone got decisions to make. Then we go over to that man's name was not Ahmad. Anyway, it don't matter. Antron. That's what it was. It doesn't matter, child. But that might have been Tony's friend name. So then we go over to Blake's date with Suann, and I think he was the only one who had a female best friend to meet. But when Suann gets there, they do discuss things like blending families, and she thinks that even though she's never done it, she could. We also discuss her last relationship, which she's only been divorced for 2 years. Now, I know for my divorced people out there, 2 years is plenty of time for some of y'all. My mom's been divorced, and she used to always be like, it took her about a year to kind of just like get over it, but 2 years to truly heal. But I do know that sometimes even before y'all get divorced, like before the paperwork is signed, I know a lot of people are already separated, already kind of getting past it. So it really just depends. But Suann says that this is her first time intentionally, end of the road dating. Like, this is it for me. This is her first time doing that in a while. She does ask questions about whether or not she's over it. Is that coming with some unhealed things? And Suann doesn't feel like it is as far as her divorce goes. And once she leaves, Blake is just like, you ask a lot of questions I haven't thought about asking, and I'll just have to take a lot of this into consideration because she is, not too long divorced, and think about what kind of baggage that comes with and blending our families, blase, blase. Both of the dates were just kind of like, glad they put them at the end. All right, so it could be because I'm watching a bootleg version. I don't really know, but I did not see Anthony's date. Did y'all see Anthony's full date? I didn't, but I do know he also had a woman that was his best friend. So Blake was not the only one. So when the fellas get into the lounge, they're talking about their dates. They're talking about everything, how everything went. I do want to talk about Anthony first, only because I didn't get to see his date. He said that Cynthia came in, very strong, very confident, answered all the questions. Everything went well with her. With Suann, he felt like Suann just kind of came in just trying to take notes and basically saying that Anthony hasn't really shown her anything, hasn't really shown her that he wanted her, hasn't made his decision in regards to her, to which he says he's not making any decision with Sue and doesn't feel the need to constantly tell her where they stand. I agree and disagree. It is nice to know where you stand with someone on Ready to Love. That way you can kind of be prepared, or you can kind of move around if you need to. But I think in regards to Sue, everybody already knows that she does move around, specifically when it comes to Blake. And Blake is just looking like he's not worried because he knows he offers something different than what Anthony offers, and she will gravitate towards whatever offers serve her best. So yes, your 2 children, I guess, to Anthony's 1. But Anthony was just like, if he loses the connection with Sue, it was never a connection to begin with. He's not worried about it. But this is a process, and when I get down to that process, that's when I'll let you know everything. So just bringing up that little situation there. Y'all, I had to come back. I had to get up out my bed during the editing process and re-edit this video just because something popped into my mind that raised my antennas and I forgot about it. Why the hell didn't Blake know that Suann was 2 years outside of a divorce? Why did he not know that? And why did he say during the gentleman's panel that was surprising for him to hear, and that was a lot for him to think about? Him and Suann do talk, right? I feel like that would have came up. Maybe not the length of time, but even if y'all have been talking pretty consistently, I feel like the length of time she's been outside of her divorce should have came up. I don't think he was saying that he didn't know she was divorced. Now, if he didn't know she was divorced, then I'm really confused. But even when I listen to Suann talk, they might be more alike than we realize, because even her speech patterns and how she converses sometimes comes off like Oh gosh, I don't know. I don't know. But that right there, I was like, he don't even like this woman. He just buying his time so that he can do interviews after the show. And I don't know why people think Ready to Love make you famous. How many famous people do we know off Ready to Love? And I mean legit. Big breaks, not these YouTube shows, no shade. Big movie time breaks or big production. Who do we know? All right then. Child, good night. Good night. They done got on my nerves. Oh gosh. Okay, so at least the ladies know what's up, right? When it's time to meet later on after the lounge. And as far as the lounge goes, it feels like the fellas actually were pretty divided. You know, normally they kind of zero in on one person, but everybody's name came up. Morgan's name came up for the bottom. A bunch of people's name came up for the bottom, which is kind of surprising. That normally doesn't happen. But unfortunately, Marcy was the one that ended up going home. And I'm not saying that it wasn't time for Marcy to go home. I just feel like at this point, I think we all have kind of figured out they're going to play it so that Blake and Sue-Ann are going to be one of the last couples there. So whatever they have to do to keep them on, I think that is what is going to happen. But yeah, I don't really think it's fair because I feel like Marcy had more of a chance getting to know Tony than Sue-Ann has of getting to know Anthony. I don't think Sue-Ann likes Anthony like that, and that's why he has to initiate everything when it comes to her. And I don't think Anthony is trying all that hard because he feels like Sue-Ann has already locked in with Blake, probably based on the way that she defended and protected him when it came to Jeffrey. I'm sure he heard about it. So yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of crazy. What did you guys think about the episode? Not really too much to talk about, but I guess we'll see what happens on next week. Thank you guys for listening and have a great weekend. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.